And Charean, the NFL, I mean, the NFL has got to love what is happening this week, this year in the league. Just crazy. You look at the scenarios, all the playoff scenarios going into week 17. It's crazy how many teams are still alive. One of those teams, believe it or not, the Las Vegas Raiders. Antonio Pierce, this guy goes into Kansas City and they beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day. What's your view? Has Antonio Pierce done enough? Has he had enough of this audition to earn that job full-time in Las Vegas?
Well, Scott, I always think when you have an interim coach, you think about all the interim coaches we've had, you get that bump. You saw what the Chargers did coming off that Raiders game, they lose. Seems like players are happy when the head coach leaves. If they weren't on board with them, you can usually tell. They play harder the next week and the following weeks. Having said all that, I do think they've gotten that bump, obviously. But having said that, you can just see how much fun this team's having. The smoking the cigars in the locker room, and they just seem like they're having fun playing football again, which they did not seem like they were having under Josh McDaniels. So 2 years ago, now I'll preface this by saying Rich Bisaccia is a really good friend of mine. I thought he should have gotten the job 2 years ago, leading the Raiders to the postseason. I thought he did enough 2 years ago. It was the same type thing. They get that bump. They played really well for Rich. Now, the circumstances were different, why they fired the head coach, but they did get that bump. They did go to the playoffs, and then they decide not to hire Rich Bisaccia. They go outside, they go get Josh McDaniels. It's obvious that was the wrong decision to make. Will they make the right decision this time? Because I think Antonio Pierce is the right decision for them. He's the right head coach for them. They'll still have to go through the entire search. Even though he's a minority hire, they will have to go through the search, do the interview process, all of that. So it's not going to be an immediate hire for the Raiders. But I think after they do that search, do their due diligence, I think they're going to find that Antonio Pierce is the right guy for the job. The question I have is Mark Davis going to do the right thing? He didn't do the right thing 2 years ago. Is he going to do the right thing now?
It'll be interesting. And you know, having covered the league as much as you have, it's a copycat league. And let's face it, it's a good old boy network when it comes to coaching. A lot of the coaching decisions aren't necessarily made on who's best fitted for the role. It's based on sort of who knows who. And in this case, though, you look at Antonio Pierce. He seems to bring back a little bit of that swagger that you saw from the Raiders when they enjoyed success as a franchise.